Well, hey everybody, Jess here at LJ Farms. Welcome to the channel. So on my last video, I did a lot of brush clearing with the tractor and the brush cutter and the grapple, and also the good old standby, the chainsaw, and a little bit of herbicide on those stumps to keep them from growing back. And the main reason I did that, as I explained in that video, is so that I could come through and build this high tensile fence here. Now I went with high tensile because I want it to be economical, flexible, but I also want it to be effective. And so I think I have achieved that with this fence. I've built something very similar to this in the past and it has worked very well. So I knew this was what I wanted to go back with. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the tools I used, but also the products and just how I built it. But this is kind of a combination of some things you might have seen if you follow Greg Judy at all. Some of the products that he's used similar, but now I come through and I do some of my own stuff here too. It's not just a direct copy of Greg Judy's techniques, but I certainly did glean a lot of things from him and some of the way he does some of his interior fencing. And that is what this is. This is an interior fence. I have basically barbed wire around the perimeter of the property, but I needed good interior fencing that would allow me to do some rotational grazing and move these cows around where I needed them and where I needed the impact on the land, and hopefully help regenerate the land and hopefully move forward and develop a lot better grazing strategy than what's been used on this property in the past. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll show you how I built this fence. All right, I'm down here at the bridge, and this is where I'm going to start my pull for this side of the creek. So I have a lot of posts scattered out through here, and really there's nothing left to do now but just start pulling wire. Now the main thing you want to have if you're going to do high tensile fence is a spinning jenny. And really the only special thing you have to remember with these is to get one that has some sort of brake feature. This nut here, you can tighten it, and that basically acts as a brake. Get one with a brake. It takes a little bit of trial and error just to get it set. You want it tight enough that it slows the jenny down whenever you stop pulling, but not tight enough that it fights you the whole way. So that's really the only thing with these. I got this little stretch here pulled, and the way I did this post is I just drilled 2 holes and I angled them toward each other, and I just fished that high tensile wire through there, made a loop and terminated that. First off, this is a 2 7/8 fiberglass post I got from Powerflex Fence, and I knew I wanted to have some of these down in this bottom area here for this reason right here. It actually just worked out perfect today. We got a little over 2 inches of rain last night, and you can see that the creek is flooded. It's over the bridge. This really isn't a bad flood at all. It can flood a lot worse than this. And probably in this bottom, I'm going to use a lot of these on my corners and my direction changes. And so I have one here, have one on the other side of the bridge, and that will be a future section of fence that goes around the edge of the property and the creek. But here's the section that I'm working on in this video, and this is about a 1,900 foot run total. And this is a fairly short run here until I get to the next gate. So what I used here was just one of the ratchet style tensioners. I left some tails here to tie onto for future wires as I bring those across the creek. And I'm just powering this up right now with a temporary battery powered or solar powered battery energizer. But eventually it will be powered from that side, and I have a 20 joule Cyclops that I'll be plugging into my shop and getting all that stuff run. So more on that later, maybe not in this video. So the type of wire I'm using here is the 170,000 PSI 12.5 gauge high tensile wire, also from Powerflex. Really good stuff, fairly easy to work with. I mean, it is high tensile, so it's definitely more difficult than your traditional soft wire. These, where I did a lot of my direction changes, I put these in. These are 6 foot, 1.25 fiberglass rod. Really like these. And one reason I went this route instead of, maybe metal posts and using an insulator is because once you get these in, you drill that hole and then use soft wire to hold that wire up. That's it. You don't need another insulator to add on to this. They're sturdy. And another reason I use them is because, I'm at the edge of a wood line here, and there's a potential that limbs or trees could fall and land on this fence. And I know these will hold up, and they're not going to bend or anything like that. So, very tough fence posts. They make building this fence a breeze. So you've seen the 1.25 fiberglass rod posts that I'm using for a lot of my direction changes. Those are taking the majority of the strain of the fence. So what I'm using for my line posts are just this 1-inch PVC. This is pretty economical. All I'm doing at this point is just holding up the wire. These aren't taking any strain. Are they as tough as the fiberglass rod? No. Will they last as long? Probably not. But for what these are doing, they serve the purpose. Also don't need an insulator with these. I did these very similar to the 1.25 rod, just drilled a hole and used a soft wire to hold it up. I mean, you could tie a tie wrap on there if you wanted to, just to hold that wire up. I'm sure it would be fine. At most, if a tree or something does fall on this and it bends this post over, it's not going to be a big deal to replace it. Price-wise, I think I figured up I have just a couple of dollars a piece in these. They're not 6 foot long. I think I just did 40-inch posts. Out of a 10-foot section of pipe, cut that in thirds, that ends up being 40 inches a piece. And depending on your PVC, where you get it from, that's going to depend on your price, but it comes out to about $2.10 or something like that for one of these line posts. And that's fairly economical. You could probably use 3/4 if you want to, but I like the 1 inch just because they are a little bit more rigid. All right, here is one gate. Now these gates will eventually be cold gates. Right now they're hot just because this is temporary. And what that means is that power is flowing through this gate wire and continuing on down the fence. That's a hot gate. A cold gate is really only hot when it's connected on this handle here. So eventually I will have this wired up so that I'll have an underground cable that will go under the ground here and continue the electricity on down the line. And it will be the gate conductor will not be hooked up on that end, so it's really only the gate itself is really only powered when it's tied in here to where it is now. This is just one of the polycarbonate handles from PowerFlex. Nothing fancy there. I just wrapped that conductor around the end there a few times just to make sure that I make good contact. That is the gold rope, I believe they call it, from PowerFlex. Really good stuff, high quality. Here's how I like to do my gates. Again, this is something I stole from Greg Judy, so credit to him on that. This keeps you from having to spend $2, $3, $4 on your gate hardware. So I don't know if you can see the detail here, but I wrapped it around that post first. Did my hangman loops. And I left a long tail. You know, I leave about 18 inches. I try to have about 18 inches of tail. And what that does is when I get done with those wraps right there, that allows me to bring it back over here. I put a bend in it with the pliers, a couple of bends, and I wrap it back around and I crimp it to itself with one of the open-end CT4 style crimps. Simple as that. And that gives you a loop out here to hook your gate handle onto. So down here on the other end, see I did this one the same way. And this is I just did a temporary knot here because, as I said, I'm going to be redoing this end. I will actually be, tying it down here somewhere probably to where it's not touching the wire, so that it's only hot whenever that end down there is connected. That way, if this is open for water access, I can basically just open this gate and I can lay it on the ground, coil it up, whatever. I may just make like a wire hook right here to hang that loop on just temporarily, but that way it's not hot and it's not grinding out on something and causing a short in the fence. All right, that's pretty much the fence build in a nutshell. Really no special tools, but if you're going to be using this high tensile, there is two things you will need for sure. One of those is a good pair of cutters, heavy duty cutters. I like the KNIPEX brand. I'll put a link to those in the description and the first comment just so you can look at them if you want to use that link. That's cool. That'll help support the channel. If not, that's okay, but they are a really good set of cutters and you will thank yourself for getting those if you use a lot of high tensile fence. The other thing is you're going to need a spinning Jenny. I have the one from PowerFlex, heavy duty, no complaints there. If you get one, just make sure it has a feature where you can tighten up that spinner to actually make it have like a brake, like a built-in brake. Now the other thing is, the way I built this fence, I did have to drill holes. I'm using, I believe it's 10 gauge soft wire, and what I figured out for that is a 9/64 drill bit. Works really good. It's a perfect size for that 10 gauge wire. Well, all right, that's pretty much it on how I built this section of high tensile fence. If you're looking to build an economical, flexible, and effective fence, especially for interior fencing on rotational grazing and things like that, definitely look at the way this is built and consider it, weigh all your options, price it, all that good stuff. I need to price this by the foot on what it cost me, and I will post that either down below or down here somewhere in this video, just so that you have an idea. Of course, that's going to change depending on where you buy the stuff, who you buy it from, things like that, but it should be pretty close. So I will put a per foot price on what this cost me. That probably won't include gates, but it's just the wire and the post and things like that. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this one. If you enjoyed this video and like this kind of content, do me a favor and click that like button. Leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. And as always, God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.